Hola, hola, gente bonita, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Me presento, mi nombre es Víctor Piñón, originario de Morelia, Michoacán, México. Este es un proyecto que estoy creando y este va a ser mi primer video y todo va a ser referente a educación, ¿sale? Soy maestro aquí en el Middle School en Winona, Minnesota, en el programa de Ríos, que es un programa de escuela bilingüe que ya tiene actualmente 7 años y del que me siento muy orgulloso y muy contento de pertenecer. Como ya les había repetido, va a ser cada 2 semanas, se va a llevar a cabo. Y en esta primera semana tenemos como invitada a la doctora Annete Freiheit, que es la superintendente de aquí de Winona, Minnesota, con más de 4,000 alumnos a su cargo y uno de los más grandes distritos escolares del sureste de Minnesota. ¿Vale? Entonces, ya sabes, si eres maestro, si eres alumno, adelante, puedes compartirlo. Y el chiste es crear una comunidad muy amena. Ahora en inglés. Hi, my name is Victor Pinon. So I am from Morelia, Michoacán, Mexico. Yes, and this is gonna be a podcast that I'm creating, and this is my first one of the many more that I'm planning to do. This first week, my guest, which I'm proudly to introduce, is Dr. Anne Freiheit, and we're gonna talk about topics very important that are concerned to our district nowadays with this crisis that we are living. And she talks about many expectations and how can we handle this situation right now. Yes, so if you can share this video, so the important thing is to create a community in not only in Winona but also Minnesota, as well as the US, as well as Mexico. Yes, so now you're gonna see next the interview, the podcast that I did to Mrs. Freiheit. Okay, see ya then. Well, welcome to my first podcast, Mrs. Freiheit. You are my first guest over here, and I'm excited for this. Okay, so but well, you are a very interesting and you are a doctorate. You have two doctorates. You've been the principal of for in one school for almost 14 years, which is exciting. That means that you did a really great job. And um, but I want to know who is Annette, who is Mrs. Freiheit.
Oh, well, thank you, first of all, for inviting me to be your first guest, Victor. I'm excited to see how this all turns out. So, a little bit about myself. I have stayed in southern Minnesota most of my life. I grew up on a farm, so I'm a farm girl. My dad dropped out of school in eighth grade to help take care of his family. He's the oldest of four siblings, or four children in his family. My mom graduated from high school and got a degree in hairdressing, so she was a hairstylist. And stay-at-home mom, I'm the oldest of four kids, so I come by my bossiness naturally.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
but I had the opportunity of growing up in a small community, grew up on a farm, so you can imagine kind of the things that I really enjoyed doing, playing outside, gardening, taking care of animals, all that wonderful stuff during childhood. Plus, I was in a small school district, so I was able to participate in music and activities, and I have very fond memories of high school and such. So when I graduated from high school, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. And so I, in a roundabout journey, got to that and became an elementary teacher in my hometown and did that for 9 years. Worked
Nice.
with grades 1, 3, 4, and 6. So I had a wide variety, loved
Wow.
every one of those grade levels for very different reasons. And then started having a family and did some curriculum work for about 3 years in a couple different districts. Then went back to teaching for a couple of years in Hayfield, and then became elementary principal there for 14 years. And I loved that job just as much as I loved teaching.
Mhm.
Um, More for the way I could have an impact on a lot of classrooms, impact a lot of students, and be a part of something that was bigger than myself. And from there, I took a superintendent job in in Pine City. At that point, all of my children were grown. I have three children, a daughter and two boys. Two who went to my daughter and my son Clint went to college, graduated. My youngest one went into the Navy, and they're all on their own and working and have found their paths in life. I've been married to my husband for almost 35 years.
Hmm?
So, yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's like my age.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there we go. We both went to Winona State University, and I'm excited to be back in Winona. I love this community. I loved my time here going to college. I did get my bachelor's in recreational therapy when I went to college the first time at Winona State University. Went back and got my elementary education degree. While I was teaching, I worked on my master's in educational leadership, and then as a principal, and then finished up as a superintendent. I did my doctorate in education from Hamline University, which was, I never thought I'd be doing that, but I did. And so, yeah, that kind of brings me to where I'm at right now.
Oh yeah, so that's the next. Okay, so well, I know you from 2 years ago when you started to be in the superintendent. Okay, I'm always be working with boys, with men as leaders, never with women. And I think that you are a very interesting person because you have many ideas to make us grow as a community, as a school community. Yes, I think that we are doing fine, but I would like to know, okay, so why do you take that decision or to become a superintendent? From being a principal, now this is a bigger job.
Yeah, it was one of those things that when I actually became a principal, I thought, you know what, this is where I'm at. This is where I need to be. And I actually was very comfortable being a principal and would have finished my career out there. But as I was doing my doctoral work, I had the opportunity to read about Ella Flagg Young, who was the first female superintendent of the Chicago Public Schools
Oh,
back when the suffrage movement was going on. And so it was an unusual time for a woman to be in a position of that. And she just really inspired me. And it kind of brought back that dream I had of moving into a superintendent position. And through the encouragement of a lot of my doctoral cohort members, my dissertation advisor, I to take that big leap. And I took my first job in Pine City. I loved working there. It was very different for me because it was in central Minnesota, and I wasn't quite used to that. But a lot of wonderful people, and it got me an opportunity to really impact an organization at even a higher level than a principal does. I think some of the things I like about superintendency is working with principals and helping coach them on their job and what they're doing, but also the impact of figuring out how to be strategic and collaborate with a variety of different groups, whether it's with employees or students or our community, and how can we bring about support for our organization through that. But it's also looking at what are the things that we can be doing that help impact students in a very positive way and give them a very positive school experience. And so I like the challenge of that, and the challenge of really bringing about collaboration. And so I really strive for that. And I think that's why I decided to really kind of shift into that superintendent position. I do have a lot more impact on policy and finance in the superintendent role than I did with a principal. So there are, I love being a principal. I love being a superintendent. And again, I'll go back to just like I liked teaching the different grade levels at elementary. I like being a superintendent for different reasons than I do a principal. But I like the challenge of the job.
wow. Yes, I imagine that. Okay, so because it's totally a challenge. I mean, it is not like a school of 1,000 kids. Now you have a district of almost 4,000 kids. Yes, and you have to see for them that they are learning, that they are doing good. I
Mhm.
like it. So, how do you feel about leaving a mark on every person, every student that you have been?
Yeah, I think I hope at any point in my career I've had the impact on a student, somebody who is excited about their learning or has gotten past something that was a barrier for them or a struggle for them. So hopefully I provide some inspiration for those kids who do, because I struggled in school myself. I was not a good math student. And I
Oh,
have a son who has a college degree in math. So it's kind of hard,
no.
like why? But I also think that there were many teachers that inspired me as I was going through as a student, and I want to leave that same mark for other students. But I also want to have an impact on our staff, and know that I hope they feel valued and respected for the work that they do. And so I get a lot of pleasure from, hopefully, no matter what interaction I have, it's one that has impacted another person. So I try to really be very positive, respectful, listen to what they're saying so that I can be able to respond and provide them support. So I think that's what I have always loved, being a teacher. And so I think I might be a teacher in a different role, different way here as a superintendent than I was a teacher in a classroom. So I
Oh,
think, yeah. So
well, you mentioned two things very important that that a teacher needs to be or needs to have. Okay, so that we have to listen to our students and we have to respect our students and also to love them. Yes, so I like that. I
yeah,
like it a lot.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And I think our period of time right now in distance learning is driving that home even more, just because we do have a lack of that physical contact, that face to face every day
Yeah.
in the same classroom. And I think that is extremely difficult for our teaching staff and for all staff. So we've got to figure out ways to help bridge that. But I also know that we have staff that are going above and beyond to really make an impact for kids, and makes me very proud to be a part of that. So,
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's awesome. Now let's see. all or every people, all the eyes from the community, they're always in the superintendent. You are a very powerful woman. Sorry to say that. Uh, yes,
a
here in the
relative.
district, because everybody is watching you the whole time. Yes, for good, for bad. So how do you feel about that?
I don't even really actually think about it, because in my mind, I always want to strive to be doing the right thing and the best thing for as many people as possible. I also know I'm not going to make everybody happy, and I'm not going to meet everybody's wants or needs. And so, keeping in perspective what is going to be the best for our students is probably my primary focus. And so, I just know coming with the job is that lens, that microscope that I'm under as a leader in the district. But also working with our school board, I think, is extremely important because they're just as much a part of that. So I think being very consistent, respectful in interactions, no matter what is going on, is extremely important. But I also think being a very good listener, because I will not know every position that everybody comes from, and you really do. In order to be a good leader, you have to understand the footprints that others are leaving, or the shoes that they're walking in, to really make good decisions. And so I think it's important to get that in there, just so that we can making the right decisions, the best decisions for our kids and our organization and our
Yeah,
community.
it is hard to be a superintendent. Yes,
It
but
is, it is, but it's
yeah.
also, I have a lot of great people that I work with, and I think that makes all the difference in the world. So,
Oh, cool. Now, right now, we are living something that, we just watch in movies, especially from Japan. They like to create these kind of movies from viruses and these things. Okay, and how do you think this that we are living right now will impact in our kiddos, in our students?
oh, I think it's going to be one of those things. I said, if I had to do a doctoral dissertation, I might spend the next 10 years really studying the impact this is going to have on our kids. Because I think I think we're going to see the whole spectrum of impact. We're going to
Mm,
see kids who develop stronger resiliency because they've been through this We also will have kids, I think, that will feel disconnected and have some of those detachment issues going on just because of that physical uh, removal, that the barrier that we have.
Yeah.
And I think also economically, it's going to impact kids and families. And so they're going to have to maybe shift and do things differently than what they did before. But I also think, too, that we've developed skills in our kids in a different way, too. So they have the technology skills now to be able to do things like this. So I think our challenge will be is in finally finding that balance for our students and helping them get through that. And I think we're going to have to take a very serious look at the emotional and social aspect of our kids, and maybe look at our system doing things differently next year. And I just told my district leadership team this morning that as we start after May 5th, really thinking about the start of next school year, if we're back in our school buildings, it's going to look different than it has in previous years. And so it's going to be really helping people get through that system of change that we're going to see, and recognizing what are good changes, what are those really bad things that we're going to have to do differently next year or in the future to help support kids in their learning. Just where our kids are going to be at is going to be different at the start of the school year. So we're going to have to adjust as adults, and we're going to have to look at our curriculum differently. Are we going to be trying some more things in regards to personalized learning or project-based learning, or hybrids of online learning with in-person kinds of things? So I think there's also opportunity for us to really maybe, for the lack of a better word, shake things up a little bit, both as a profession, but also for the aspect of our kids. So.
Well, you mentioned something very important. So the future is going to be totally different. That interactivity with teachers, between kiddos, okay, now they're being inside the house without seeing people, seeing the students. So now the future looks different from now. Yes. Is the district prepared for that change?
We will be. I think I do believe, my job is to always be maybe thinking ahead of where everybody else is at, but it's also supporting them where they're at right now. So as our district leadership team is working on the planning days for Friday and Monday, they're there, but I'm starting to think, okay, so after that, we're going to start shifting into thinking about coming back next year. And we have to be prepared. Our kids 100% in the building. What social safety things can we put in place? We do, a portion of our students are there on Monday, Wednesdays, and another portion on Tuesday, Thursdays. What is it? We have to be ready for kids 100% there and kids 100% not there, and everything in between there. And hopefully we get more guidance as we go along and more information is known. But the reality is that it's COVID now, but is there something else that's going to come along? And the responsiveness of our organization to these different things, we're going to continue to develop that.
Yeah, so, for sure. Yeah, this situation will change everything. Now, one recommendation that you can give for teachers that they can start preparing during the summer, because summer is close, almost 5 weeks. And I think that kiddos and teachers, they're like excited because of that, because of the beautiful weather that is in Winona during the summer.
Oh, yes.
Okay, yeah. But what do you recommend for teachers to start doing now to be prepared for when the next school year begins?
Well, I guess my recommendation would be is to take a deep breath and let's just get through the end of this. And also just cherish those moments we have with our students. I think I bless everybody's heart for really trying to push the academics and making sure that we continue to help our students grow as learners. And we're doing a really good job of that balance of the social emotional connection along with an academic connection. And so I think right now I would just really want my teachers and all of my staff to just take it one day at a time. and
Yes.
know that what we do today may change for tomorrow just because we know more information or know different things.
Yep.
And what we know today and do, or maybe even what we plan to start on May 5th, is going to continuously change and evolve as we go through till the end of the year.
Yes.
And one thing I would always encourage is that reflection piece, which I believe teachers are doing, and then they look at their lessons for tomorrow and say, okay, here's what I experienced today. I'm going to adjust for there. I think it will be to take the time over the summer to reflect on what did they learn and what challenged them as an educator in that setting of distance learning.
Yeah.
What did you learn from that? That number one, you're gonna really look it back and say, you know what, that was really phenomenal for this particular reason. This is what I really struggled with. So when I get kids back in my classroom, what am I going to really focus on? And I think we've all learned through this is that we've strengthened our commitment to the social and emotional health of our students and ourselves.
Yeah.
And I also think just to take the time to reflect that what they've known about education is history.
Yeah.
And that they were a part of that, and they're also a part of what we're going to do moving forward. That it's gonna be different, and how, I can't answer that question, because I think that's where the collaboration with all of our staff is really important as we move forward. Is what have we learned from this that we feel is a good thing to continue doing because it impacted our students in a positive way, you know? And I
Yeah.
guess that's taking the time to reflect, but also the time to just refresh yourself over this.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned something very important. Well, there are so many things important here that kids are developing more skills in technology. Yes, now they're gonna be like they're experts. Now they're gonna be more experts even than me. I mean, they help me a
Right.
lot. Yeah, so they guide me sometimes. Oh, so in your opinion, do this. Okay, so they're totally experts. But also, you mentioned something very important. The district will find how to support those kiddos, okay, above this crisis. Okay, but right now, I think that they need many kids. And I hear in the meetings that we have with all their teachers that they really support. They are like always with them the whole day, sitting in front of the computer. It doesn't matter from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., but they're trying to help these kids to handle this situation. Are there any words about this? The job that they're doing, these counselors?
Oh, I don't think any teacher expected to be in a position where they may feel like they are the counselor, the parent, the social worker while they're meeting with those students. And what I would have to say is that what I observe is teachers, they're doing the work from their heart.
Yes. Yes.
And it's not necessarily about the skills, but about the heart. And so it's just taking that time to really listen to a kid when you say, how are you doing? It's having a conversation. All teachers know how to do that. All staff know how to have that conversation and how to be empathetic, understanding, respectful, and loving as human beings. And
Very important.
It's not rocket science.
No, I know.
But it also is to be on that constant. What kind of? I'm trying to think of the right words to say, but the constant high level of it can be very draining emotionally. And that is a concern of all of my district leadership team, is not only the drain on our students, but the drain on our staff. And know that we recognize that and are working on figuring out ways to help with that.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes, I mean, they're a great job. They're doing a great job. Okay, so
yeah,
I think that all of them, they're, as you say, humans. Yes, and they're doing everything with their hearts. That's the most important. I mean, they love the kiddos. They want them to be well in this moment. Some of them, some of these kids, they're sometimes alone at home because parents, they need to work. But these social workers, they are always with them. Yes, it doesn't matter if it's raining, If it is windy like today, they're always there for them.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
I am so thankful
Mm-hmm.
and grateful for all of our staff
Yes.
because they have stepped up in ways that they maybe didn't even know they could until you're in a situation. And I think sometimes you find out the true character of people in crisis more than you do in success. And we're finding the true nature of our staff through this because
Yeah.
they have stepped up in
We,
many, many ways.
yes. We have great staff, all teachers, student, well, counselors, social workers, principal, superintendent. They're great hearts. Okay, that's why we choose to become a teacher.
Yeah,
That's why we took the decision to help kiddos. Okay, so that they can learn from our experiences, but that they can have our support, you know?
yeah,
As
absolutely.
okay, now let's touch something very important. Now, well, and I can see with my kiddos, sometimes when I meet with them and I ask them, what were you doing? They tell me, I was watching YouTube. I was playing video games. I was look, everything is electronical, you know. What is the recommendation that you can give to these kids? Just, I mean, I am not saying that it's bad to the whole day watching YouTube or playing video games. I know that they cannot go
Yep.
outside because of this. But what else can you recommend to these kids to stop doing that activities?
Wow. My my youngest is 26 years old, so I
No.
caught the tail end of that technology push. My kids never had one-to-one devices when they were in high school, so I thankfully didn't have to. I shouldn't say thankfully. I never experienced that as a parent. So, and my kids were, I'm bored, mom. Okay, that's all right. You can be bored.
Yeah.
So figure out something to do that unbores you, and it's not TV or something like that. So I think it's helping our kids also discover the childhood that we maybe all knew was playing outside and inventing games, or because I think kids, they still can be outside. They can be in their backyard. They can be doing truck drawings on their sidewalks and their driveways. They can be sitting on the front step talking to their neighbor, which is on their front step. You might have to
Yeah.
yell, but there's still those things that you can do, I think, with being respectful to social distancing and
Hmm.
keeping yourself safe. And I do respect parents who have great concerns about the health of their children and those things. So they have to take that into consideration. Um, Board games, actual board
Yeah.
games, not electronic board
Hmm.
games, but board games like Sorry or Candyland or Monopoly, Life, Connect Four, Trouble, where you do that little dice thing and then you have to move. So I think there's card games. I mean, there's actual things that you can do. I know on Saturday night, my children and in-laws we're gonna do a virtual bingo game.
Oh, cool.
So could kids connect and do something virtually with their
Hmm.
other friends
Yeah.
that is not an electronic game like all of our sports teams are doing right now, where they're doing e-games tourneys with pro football players and pro baseball players and all that kind of stuff. So I
Uh-huh.
think, there's things like that they can take a piece of paper out and draw, write
Yes,
stories, write
that's all.
letters,
Yes.
write thank yous. I think there's those kind of things, the old
There's so
fashioned
many.
stuff.
Yeah, there's so many things different that they can do. I mean, our kids are very creative.
Oh,
I've seen some
absolutely.
kids creating things that like, what is that game? And they told me, it's because I don't know. I had experience that one of my students, he was creating his own bills and his own money. And then, okay, for what are you gonna use that? I'm gonna go to Walmart and buy things with this. Okay, well, let's do it. Yes.
Yep. Yep.
And
They can
now
learn
you
how to
mentioned,
cook. They can
yes.
learn cooking and, yeah, there's lots of things they can do that is not electronic. So,
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned something that I mean, there are different things to with interact with their neighbors. I mean, I was riding my bicycle like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and I found many people talking from one side of the wall of the sidewalk from to the other one. So I mean,
social distancing a lot.
Yep.
That's cool. Yes. Those
Yep.
are the benefits of living in a small community. Yes.
Yep.
That everybody know each other. It's very nice to see people riding my bicycle sometime and like saying hello because I kind of know many of them because of the school. It's
Yep.
so nice to see this.
Yep.
Um, now, we're almost going to the end. Yes, and
Okay.
this is one of the most important questions for me to ask you. You're always a very smiling person. You're always smiling. You're always happy. You're always trying to motivate staff, kiddos. You're always wearing very elegant. Yes, very
Well,
professional.
I'm going with sweatshirts today, so
Well, I'm wearing
probably
my
in one of my
Rehoboth.
more inelegant moments, but
No, it
I'm being
doesn't matter.
comfortable. Right.
Okay. Now, can you share the secret of being that kind of people, that kind of person? What is your secret?
The first thing that comes to my mind is grateful. I think about all the things that I have, all the people that are a part of my life, um, the way I've been impacted, those kinds of things. And I guess I I come from a place of gratefulness, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes it easy to be a positive person. I am by nature will always seek to find the best in a situation, and the best in people that I work with, because I truly believe in working from a place of strengths versus
Mm-hmm.
deficits. And so each person I come across has strengths, and that's kind of where I always try to focus on. Um, and I guess maybe I'm just a naturally happy person.
Mm-hmm. That's
But I
so
also
nice.
find, yeah, but I also find being a part of Winona Area Public Schools, it's easy to be that way. I feel a part of the organization, and I have from day one, and every day it just gets that more solidified that I'm a part of it. So I guess that's my secret, is just being grateful for what I do have and the people that are a part of my life.
Grateful. Yes, we have to always to be grateful with everything, with all the challenges, with all the good opportunities that this life is giving us. Yes,
Absolutely.
and yes, always say thank you. That's one of my favorite words. Thank you. Yes, I like to say that word. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Mrs. Freiheit, I think that I really appreciate you doing this. Okay, so those this is something that I started doing during when I was inside of my apartment. Yes, and I hope yes this podcast that I'm trying to do like every week. Yes, to help the teachers, to help the students, to help parents. Yes, because I know it's hard for everybody, not just for teachers, not just for kids, not just for adults. It's for everybody. We are living in this very stressful situation. Okay,
Yeah.
but I think that we are doing great. Yes.
Yes, we are. And thank you so much for letting me be your first guest. I'm excited to hear how this all goes for you.
Oh, I'm excited too. I'm excited too. Okay, so I want to send you a virtual hug.
Oh, yes. Virtual hug to
Yes,
you too.
okay, virtual hug. Okay, so now everything will change in the future, but now we are fine. Really appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thank you very much,
thank
Victor.
you.
All
Really
right.
appreciate it. Okay, thank you. Bye
Yep.
bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. See